the organically biased reporting on the Israeli-Hamas-Palestinian issue in Gaza continues. It simply boggles the mind when we see the tragedy in Gaza, the infrastructure blown to smithereens, body parts and people blown up to the order of over 11,000 people, more than 4,500 children, and what many American experts say is way above that number if we really got an accurate count. And the manner in which these guys just speak about these issues antiseptically. This is occurring because several hundred Israelis were murdered. Again, that's a serious issue. But it's amazing that a few hundred Israelis, dead Israelis, horrendous is bad. But somehow the continuity of hundreds dying every day in Gaza, it's kind of placé. We'd like to stop it. We'll see how we can go ahead and stop it. We'll see if we can kind of reduce the amount of you being killed as we do what we want to do. And I want you to listen to General McCaffrey. I want you to also listen to Blinken and how McCaffrey characterized what Blinken is doing. He's not trying to save lives. Blinken is trying to just give the impression of holding Israel in check, just so that the rest of the world doesn't go crazy and come on in and in the side of humanity. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
This gigantic tragedy engulfing the region, all triggered deliberately by Hamas with that 7 October brutal murder of hundreds of Israeli civilians, and complicated by now some 240 hostages who are in perilous situation. But at least more Palestinian civilians now appear to be moving out of the combat zone, 80,000 yesterday, some humanitarian supplies getting in. So the great tragedy is at a turning point. The IDF is trying to destroy Hamas.
Secretary of State Blinken has been denouncing the war's toll on civilians in Gaza, and he was in India today. I want to play for you, General, what he said.
Much more needs to be done to protect civilians and to make sure that humanitarian assistance reaches them. Far too many Palestinians have been killed. Far too many have suffered these past weeks.
More than 11,000 people have been killed in Gaza, according to Palestinian authorities, and that includes 4,500 children. And then earlier this week, General, a senior Biden administration official told Congress that actually the civilian death toll could be even higher than previously cited. So when Secretary Blinken says much more needs to be done to protect civilians, what can be done?
Well, I think a lot is being done. And the primary things they've got to get, they had, 1 million people essentially in this built up city of Gaza. And most of them are now out. There's still probably a couple 100,000 in there. That's the zone of intense danger. And then in addition, what has to be done is Egypt has to fully cooperate the Arab world in funneling humanitarian supplies into this so-called safe zone along the waterfront and the Rafah border crossing. And I think finally, IDF is going to try and wrap up their operations as rapid as they can, but time is their enemy. So Secretary Blinken, very skillful, devoted diplomat, thank God for his leadership, is trying to calm the waters in the international community, is trying to prevent the war from widening, particularly with Hezbollah entering the fight successfully so far. And finally, I think he's got to pay attention to domestic politics. President Biden's worried about re-election, and this could be a factor.
As you watch all of the protests that have been going on, General, and they've gotten big in some places, there's a huge one that's planned tomorrow in London. There have been some questions about them all around the world, but also domestically here at home. Will, the longer this war goes on, the political pressure, not just here but elsewhere, only increase?
Yeah, it looks like it. Something mystifies me. At the end of the day, there's history. There's 75 years of history. There's 1948. There's the great exodus of the Palestinians into a part of Gaza, which was owned by Egypt. All that's there. The Israelis aren't going anywhere. They're a sovereign nation. And unfortunately, where we're stuck is Hamas says, on the head of Hamas on television in Lebanon a couple of days ago, we intend to destroy Israel. The river to the sea. We're going to come back and eradicate you people. Until we get beyond that, until we get some pan-Arab peacekeeping force in the West Bank and Gaza, until we have some two-state solution that doesn't just look like a pause with another attack on Israel, these terrible conflicts are going to continue.
I find it astounding when you put the numbers on the screen. 11,076 Palestinians dead, 4,500 children. And it's just a number. It's just a number. And then McCaffrey has the nerve to say, look, this stuff has been going on for 75 years. They better get with the program. Look, Israel is there to stay. I don't have a problem with saying Israel is there to stay, but in the context of saying, it has the context of saying, look, we created Israel. We allowed Israel to go ahead and just go ahead and take over other folks' lands, create an Akbar, or do all these things. That's just how it is. Sorry about it. And we'll just try for two-state solutions. And that two-state solution, let's just make sure that they get a little piece of that. I mean, the nonchalant nature in which the humanity of the Palestinians are taken into account is the issue. And it is sad. And it is sad. And what they don't understand, and look, to some extent, I understand America's position, right? Because if you came into a land and you go ahead and say, well, Israel, you can't do X, Y, and Z, 4 of your fingers are going to be pointing back at you. Black Rock, America. Trail of Tears, America. And we will have to start looking at all these issues that maybe we have yet to atone for, and we could, but we've yet to atone for. But if we go ahead and tell Israel, don't repeat the same, we did tell them that, right? Don't repeat the same mistakes we made. But we're only talking about Iraq and Afghanistan. We're not talking about Panama, Grenada. We're not talking about the reservations, the trailer. We're not talking about any of that. We're just talking about Iraq and Afghanistan. Israel, don't make that mistake now. At some point in time, America and Israel is going to have to stop undermining the intelligence of the rest of the world. That bad things have happened to Israelis, what Hamas did, a bad thing, should also be buffered with the bad things others have done to the aggrieved. I'm not justifying the murder and killing of a whole lot of Israelis, but I'm saying at some point, when we talk about no hands are clean, at some point, we're going to have to make sure that humanity extended to everyone, but more than humanity extended to everyone, that there's blame to go around, and some have more blame based on the continuum of the way they've dealt with the other.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please. join.